And welcome back to another episode of Mertz Collectibles. You know, sometimes in this hobby, you have to ask the hard questions. Is gambling propping up the hobby? Figured I'd do my best PK impression there. I did the little PK title. What's up, everyone? Hope everybody is having a good evening. Should be live here. Let me take a look and see if I can hear myself. Looks like we're live. Perfect. What's everybody doing? How is everybody doing? Friday evening, another bi-weekly, fortnightly, whatever you want to call it, stream every 2 weeks on the dot. I guess it's becoming a Friday stream. Looking forward to talking a little Pokemon with you guys. I do, in all seriousness, I do want to talk about kind of gambling and kind of use that as kind of the basis of the conversation. And I've got a couple things pulled up on the other screen here. Some different pull rates from a lot of the Sword and Shield sets compared with the pull rates from some of the first Scarlet and Violet sets. Just to kind of take a look at those in comparison and kind of see where we are with that. I know that in my opinion, that is those two things are interconnected: the gambling side of the hobby and the pull rates. So that is kind of the plan on what I want to look into this evening. Once we kind of get through that, if we finish up that conversation, I'm going to look at some Z and G Emporium auctions, kind of look through those, see if there's anything that we think is interesting, and kind of just go from there. And if we're hanging out after that, sounds good. So, all right, let's see what's going on in the chat. We got Brandon Baker making a comment earlier today. Not sure if he's in the chat live, but he put a little eye emojis. Good to see you here, even if it is in spirit. Pokey Chef, I'm in the kitchen. We'll catch up soon. What's up, Mertz? What's up, Pokey Chef? I have not watched your interview with Pokemon Wonder yet, but I am looking forward to taking a look at that and taking a listen to that interview. Heard good things. Can't wait to listen in there on that one. We've got Quilly. Hey, what's up? What's up, my friend? Good to see you in the chat here. I say this every time that I go live. I love doing streams on Friday evenings. I feel the energy. It's a nice winding down the week. After a long work week, even though that I'm on paternity leave and haven't worked in like 5 weeks so far. So, still, it's a great time to have a chat. Should we place bets on if the hobby is propped up by gambling? Yes, we should. I'm taking the yes it is money line plus 120. I'm putting the odds on it. Excuse me. Pokemon mug. Got a little late night coffee, Pete's Major Dickinson K-Cup. So good, so bitter. I like it. That's how I like it. Like my coffee, black and bitter. Very good. All right. Let's see here. I'll give people a second to hop in, but we're gonna jump right in here and take a look at some of the pull rates. So I'm gonna toggle over to the other screen. Try not to share anything that I don't want to share, but here we go. So first up, we are going to take a look at the Silver Tempest pull rates and some of the other sets from Sword and Shield. You see Lost Origin here. There's a few other ones. This is on E4, and then I'll kind of go through the source here, and then we'll go through some of Scarlet and Violet as well. But I guess I should give it a little bit of a background before we just hop in and start looking at pull rates and just kind of talk about my thoughts on how gambling is related to the hobby and you know if it's a good thing, if it's a bad thing, if it just is what it is, or if we should have gambling intertwined with a children's hobby, so on and so forth. Just interesting discussion, but some of my thoughts are that gambling is in my opinion, a fundamental part of this hobby. For children, for adults, in terms of it just has that the rarity. Whether it's WotC, you get a holo in 1 in 3 packs. Those are the 33% pull rate. You're opening those packs looking for the rare card, the holographic card, or all the way up to Silver Tempest. Here we're looking at trying to get a Lugia one out of 684 packs. Whatever the case may be. But I do think that even as a kid, like just using my own experience, my own memories as kind of a basis for this opinion or this discussion is I remember the kids on the playground, myself having these thoughts as a kid, like everybody wanted to pull the Charizard, wanted to have the coolest cards, the coolest holos, and there was just something about the idea of opening a pack that just created that dopamine hit, that excitement, like you're pulling through. Like when I was a kid, I remember distinctly, I would not just open the pack and just fan them out, look at them all at once. I would do kind of the same thing that I see a lot of streamers do, or I've done now. I didn't take 4 from the back and put it in the front, but I remember opening the pack and holding them straight up so I couldn't spoil what was in the back, going slowly, going through it. Like there was something about that experience of opening that physical pack and revealing the next card in the list to get to the end, to get to the conclusion. It's almost like a scratch off, like you're scratching off one letter of the crossword puzzle, whatever format the scratch off is in, scratching off the next one. And like I've done both of those things. I've gambled on sports. I'm not a big scratch off guy or a big lottery in that sense, but I'm familiar with the feeling of gambling and kind of what it invokes, that I associate, like it is gambling to me, and it kind of triggers those same responses, or at least in my brain. People can say in the comments what they think if they're think the same thing as me, but it really does trigger those same feelings, that same dopamine rush that I want to get the big hit. I want to get the chase. It really is, in my opinion, fundamental. So that's where I want to start. Like it is ingrained. It's not there, in my opinion. I guess there's no debate on whether it is. Maybe not. Like it just is what it is. Fundamental truth, self-evident. So that's step one. Step two is, where is gambling in our society now, and kind of where is its place, and how do we feel about it? So gambling now, I'm sure anybody who watches live sports, or even if you don't watch live sports, if you're just watching, your favorite TV show, I'm sure you've seen advertisements for sports gambling. Sports gambling is the federal, there was a federal law that was recently, I think, repealed, or I think repealed is the correct term in terms of it. It now allows each individual state to make the determination on whether or not they want to legalize gambling or not. There used to be a federal ban against that, and in a few years ago, I want to say like 3-ish years ago, that was removed. So that once that federal law was overturned, that doesn't mean that gambling is just legal everywhere in the country. That's not what it is. Like I said before, it removed. It put it in the hands of each individual state. So there are certain states that are not. It's not legal in at this time, and there are there's quite a few. I don't have a list right in front of me, but for example, I live in the state of Illinois. It is legal to gamble here. You can download, FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever your favorite app is, and you can just place bets legally right in the comfort of your own home on your iPhone. So I don't know how many states. It's probably, if I had to guess, close to a third to a half of the states, if I just had to guess off the top of my head. But it is there used to be this stigma on it, and I guess there could still be a stigma on it, but it used to not be legal. You used to have to go through back alleys and back chains to gamble, or you used to have to go to Las Vegas. Not the case anymore. It is legal. So that's kind of the baseline of that. The restrictions and the public perception is kind of being dialed back. It's being looked upon more favorably. It's in my opinion, now that it is legal in several states. But just because that is the case, what does that mean for Pokemon? Probably most of the people in this chat are adults, but this is a children's card game. So I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm on my moral, like I'm on a moral high horse, or I'm morally superior, or whatever my ethics and my ideas of whatever the situation is what goes. But it's just, I want to open it up for discussion, like whether or not these types of things are, not okay. I don't know if okay is the right word. Like, how do we feel about gambling in terms of it as it relates to children? And, opening a pack that's, got 1 in 684, just because a kid spent $5, is that wrong to have them waste their money and try to pull that Lugia Alt Art from Silver Tempest 1 out of 684 out of an 8,000 pack sample size? That's not really I don't think that is a harmful thing in and of itself. Like, you go in, there's several different cards. Some are more rare than others. I don't think that is a problem. Just like $5 a pack or whatever, like, you know what you're getting into. But in terms of where I do feel a little crummy about it, or it makes me feel kind of gross, is in terms of some of the live streaming platforms and how they sell packs to kids, and I guess adults alike, but adults can make their own decisions. So that's kind of the next step in this is live selling platforms. So there's nothing wrong with a live selling platform. You have a pack of Silver Tempest, whatever those things go for these days, I don't know, $4, and you put it up and you sell it, and you sell it live, and you've created this community, whether it's eBay Live, whatnot, TikTok, YouTube, whatever the case, wherever you are creating that live sale. That's not an issue in terms of how it relates to gambling, but where it can be an issue is if you've got a streamer or a person that is kind of not acting with the in not in the correct way. I don't want to use the word correct, but hyping up things and making it seem like, for example, we'll just use Silver Tempest since it's on the screen, we've got 1 out of 684. If that streamer had a Silver Tempest pack, selling it on an auction, saying, this Lugia in a PSA 10, it's worth, $250 right now. If you buy this pack, you've got, a good shot of pulling it. Like, obviously they don't have a good shot. It's 1 out of 684 just by using this sample size, but that's 8,000 packs is a decent little chunk of sample size. Like, that's kind of where it becomes an issue, in my opinion, trying to have that hype beast in those live chat communities, trying to get those kids to fire up their parents' credit card and on whatnot, and kind of manipulating them and manipulating younger people who don't know truly what those pull rates are. Like, and again, like, this is kind of a children versus an adult thing. Like, an adult, you should, even if you don't know or you don't have this information of the pull rates and you're an adult, spend money how you want. It's on you to do that research. If you want to spend $5 or get hyped up and you spend $12 because the streamer makes you think that you're going to pull a $250 card, whatever. You're an adult, but kind of where it gets kind of fuzzy is there's a lot of kids on these platforms, and I don't know exactly where I feel. I'm not going to be like, this is ban it. Kids shouldn't be involved in this. They shouldn't be gambling on this stuff, but it's just an interesting discussion, in my opinion. It's probably something that's on the radar of eBay and YouTube, TikTok, whatnot. They probably are waiting, are very aware of that and are kind of riding the waves of this. And I'm sure they've got many lawyers who have looked at the legality and whether or not there needs to be, more restrictions placed on, the age of the users. I'm sure, you can, I actually don't know for a fact, but I bet when you sign into whatnot, it's like, are you 18 or older? Yes or no. I'm assuming that's the case, but obviously you can, create an account with a different birth date, plug in your parents' credit card and fire away sales. So I'm sure that those platforms aren't looking forward to the day where they might be getting sued by a parent who looks at their credit card bill after 6 months and sees $7,000 charged to whatnot and decides to sue the platform. So that is probably going to happen, if I had to guess, at some point, and that'll be cracked down upon in terms of a gambling sense. So anyways, those are just kind of my rambling thoughts on gambling and kind of just to tie it into the title of this video. And I'd be interested to see other people's thoughts, whether they put it in the live chat or whether they put it in the comments listening back later. Like, again, I want to make it clear, I'm not like the arbiter of ethics and morals and this is bad. This is like, I'm not here to do that. I just want to open up the discussion. I'm interested to see other people's point of view, and it's just an interesting discussion. So next, something that heavily goes into this, where with the gambling, is the pull rates, and I guess it's tied because you go to the casino roulette. What is it, 1 in 46 or whatever, or 46% chance in roulette or whatever the case may be. Like, obviously probability and pull rates and those go hand in hand with gambling. But in terms of, I just think it's kind of a next step, and I'd be interested to look into some pull rates. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with some Sword and Shield sets, and then look at some Scarlet and Violet sets. I think that, in my opinion, I guess there's not an opinion. We'll look at hard numbers here, but anecdotally, it does seem like Pokemon has made the pull rates easier in Scarlet and Violet, and I'm sure there obviously are several factors into why different Scarlet and Violet boxes are cheaper than their Sword and Shield counterparts. Obviously, Sword and Shield's been out for longer, had more time to rise. The demand could be different. The print numbers could be different, but I think I do think it is a factor in terms of why there just isn't this hype in some of the prices. Maybe weaker. You can get them as a consumer, get them for cheaper than distribution prices. Scarlet and Violet I'm talking about. I think that pull rates are a factor in this. Not saying they're the biggest factor, but I'm interested to look at the numbers. I really haven't looked at it other than pulling this up quickly before I started this video, and we'll kind of look at it together. I really do think that they need to get to harder pull rates to kind of invoke that chase, in that sense of you want to pull, you want that artificial scarcity on these mass-produced items. It is fun, like for Magic the Gathering, like the hottest set in recent memory, the Lord of the Rings set. What did it have? It had a one of one, the one ring that sold for $2 million to, I believe, Post Malone. So like that hype, people want that chase. Even if you sit down and do the numbers and know that you're probably more likely to get struck by lightning or crash an airplane than to pull that one ring. Like there is just something about it that creates that excitement to have that chance, that moonshot. To be able to pull, the Moonbrand from Evolving Skies, or to pull the Giratina from Lost Origin, those really tough pull rates, in my opinion, make it a lot more fun. So we'll see what Pokemon does in the coming sets in Scarlet and Violet. They obviously know what they're doing. They are way smarter, 10 steps ahead than all of us. They are doing really well with their game, but it's just going to be interesting to look at some numbers. So let's take a look at the chat. I know I just rambled on there. Let's see here. Quilly, that's a 6 sign in your background. I appreciate that. Let's go back over to full camera mode. I guess you can see in the little box, but this Pikachu Mertz Collectibles sign above my head here, my sister got that for me for, I believe, Christmas. Super awesome sister. So thank you for that shout out there. We got Gengar's Den in here. Good to see you. Let me click on that chat. Gengar's Den, awesome guy. Hope to see you at a Collecticon, Chicago Collecticon in the future, or this year. Excuse me. Let me know if you'll be in Chicago in October. Would love to see you there. Let's see. Quilly says, man, I want to record people's brains opening packs. That would be an interesting experience to experiment, to kind of hook people up and measure their brain waves and compare, the act of either gambling on sports or playing a hand of blackjack or spinning a roulette wheel and seeing if you get some of those similar responses when you're opening a pack of Pokemon cards. That would be a fun experiment to do. Al Awell man, lobbyists be lobbying. Yep. So that I think he is referring to what I was talking about earlier with eBay and TikTok and whatnot. I'm sure are aware of gambling as it relates to children, and I'm sure many discussions in back rooms have been had with lawyers wearing really expensive suits, and I'm sure that is on their radar. It has to be. Dan, Catch 'em All Collectibles, good to see you in here. Gambling is this hobby, catching up on 2X. Appreciate you stopping by. I caught up on your Poke Flips episode today on 2X. Good episode with Brad G Cards. Everybody go check out that episode with Dan, Nick, and Brad G Cards. Would agree gambling is I don't know if it is this hobby, but it is a giant part of it. I'd be interested to see kind of what, there's two sections. There's, are we all gamblers? All of the collectors, do even the collectors that don't open packs, do they still get that same rush in the chase and the hunt for looking for that rare card or that trophy card that they've been looking for? They get a saved search on eBay and they check it and they see that that very rare trophy card pop up on eBay and buy it now, and their heart starts pumping. Do they get that rush, that chase feeling? I'd be interested to see if there's a similar kind of overlay with that type of feeling. Interesting to think about. Quilly, your expected value of opening this $5 pack is 76 cents. It doesn't quite have the same ring to it. Yep, that wouldn't be a great sales job by those streamers to say, you're going to definitely lose money if you open this packs. Although I have seen Dan open some packs on YouTube, some of those when he did that back in the day, and just telling people, probably not going to go ahead and make money on this, but if you want to gamble, you want to have a good time, he gives those similar disclaimers on the heavy packs that he brings the Collecticon. Hey, you're probably going to lose money, but if you want to gamble, I'm here to facilitate it to you. So he's probably one of the only people in the hobby in the world that kind of goes against his own product and kind of talks it down, and people buy it anyway. So just tells you the power of gambling. AWOL Man, is it gambling if there's no guaranteed payout value? I mean that in the sense that the value of the cards isn't stable. I'd have to think about that. I guess you're talking about like the cards go up and down, and it's very dynamic pricing. The price of a PSA 10 Lugia is $251 day. It started out $400 or $500 out the gate. I'm sure it's down, maybe even down below 200. I have no idea at this time what a PSA 10 copy is, but whereas, you spin a roulette wheel and it's a 46 to 48% chance if you do black or red or odd or even, that you're going to win. Interesting. I would say, just off the top of my head, without thinking too deeply, that it is still gambling, even if the payouts change and are dynamic. Like, couldn't Pokemon argue that they assign no value to the cards? I guess that they could, in terms of a legal sense, if somebody tries to sue them and say, hey, you're fostering this unhealthy environment for our children and creating this gambling craze, they could say, they're just pieces of cardboard. What are you talking about? The value is $5 a pack. All that secondary market stuff is not a problem, basically. So that's it. That's an interesting and a good point that Pokemon could say that, but I'm not sure if Whatnot could say the same thing if they have a streamer hyping up and specifically using language that would, suggest that you're going to get more value. So that's a good point there. Dan responds, AWOL Man, that is how they get by gambling laws. They don't sell guaranteed odds, and unlike a losing scratch off, it isn't entirely worthless. They sell random cards. Yeah. That is a good point there. That I guess they don't sell guaranteed odds. I wonder on the packs. I got a Fusion Strike, a couple behind me in the closet, but I'm not going to open it. I know that some TCGs assign different odds to, you're going to 1 in 3 foil, 1 in 6, special foil, whatever the case may be. I'm sure that's not what we're talking about here in terms of, we're talking about value. They're not going to assign a value to it. It's just, there's no intrinsic value. It's just worthless cardboard. But they do put the odds on there sometimes applying a specific thing, but there's no assigned value. Interesting. I love this discussion. All right, got to the bottom of the chat. Let's take a look at the Silver Tempest pull rates and move through Sword and Shield. Taking a swig of coffee. Dan says 10 cards and 1 energy is all the Obsidian Flames pack says. Interesting. I wonder. I can't remember when they made the changeover from what was it, 11 additional playing cards, or did they change it to 10? I think they moved it down from 11 to 10 at some point, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember exactly when that happened. saving on that fraction of a penny cost Pokemon and charging us the same amount and increasing MSRP all the while. So okay, let's jump in. Silver Tempest pull rates. We've got the different alt arts here, and I guess I'll back up and say where the source is. This is E4. I just did a quick Google search, trying to, everybody's kind of seen, if you've been around the hobby long enough and seen different set releases, you'll see this type of graphic with data pulled from TCG Player, where it shows the different pull rates. In the bottom here, this user is kindly, I'll give him credit here. Dill has compiled some data here for me just to quickly type into Google and scroll through. So Silver Tempest, we've got a sample size of 8,000 Silver Tempest booster packs. A decent sample size. Obviously, this is not, the alpha and omega. This is not, going to be the case, the master, pull rates. But it is a decent little chunk of size here where I feel like we can, at least, take a look at it here and not be throwaway data. So alt arts. So we've got the Unknown, the Lugia. What is that? The Skunk. I can't read the name. It's so small right here, but I know this is the alt art here. And it looks like a lot of similar pull rates. Friends in Galar. Here, 1 out of around 600 to 700 pull rates. They're pretty consistent across the board. We see a couple outliers here, like for example, Lugia V-Star Rainbow. Like I doubt that each Rainbow Rare has that difficult of a pull rate. It probably was this specific batch of packs. The whoever pulled these packs wasn't able to pull that Lugia and that amount of packs. So what I'm seeing here across the board is about 600 ish to pull those alt arts, to pull the main chase card out of the Silver Tempest packs. We'll scroll down here to Lost Origin. We see more of the same. The Giratina alt art, 1 out of 720. Aerodactyl, 1 out of 665. Berserker, that looks like to be an outlier here, 1 out of 1080. We're seeing a similar thing here in terms of we got the alt art trainer gallery with the Pikachu VMAX, 1 in 665, 1 in 508. This other Chase Pikachu card here, we're seeing a similar trend, about 1 in 600 ish, and this again is from 8,000 packs of Lost Origin. Moving down to Astral Radiance, more of the same, although we've got a couple different outliers. I don't think that the gold cards are that much more difficult to pull as opposed to the different alt arts. We've got 1 in 1440, 1 in 1440 for both of these gold card Palkia and Dialga cards here. If that was the case and they were triple or, a little over double the difficulty to pull of an alt art, they would, I believe the prices would reflect that, but they do not. So I'm going to go ahead and discount that data point there. We're seeing 1 out of 864, 1 out of 665, the Machamp. Again, let's see, 8,000 Astral Radiance packs. The Machamp, 1 out of 1234, possibly is an outlier there as well. And I know I'm just spitting out and I'm not trying to manipulate the data and go, oh, anything that doesn't fit my narrative of 1 in 600 is an outlier. Like, I think I'm just trying to use reasonable logic to get here. Okay, the gold Palkia is not an astronomical price. Probably that 1 in 1440 is not representative of the actual pull rates there. So we're just trying to use some logic. So don't roast me and flame me for trying to cherry pick data. I'm not. I think we can glean some useful information here. So 1 out of 6 Astral Radiance, little tougher pull rates here on some of like the Arita full art trainer. But we're still in that 600 to 800 range, discounting some of those outliers there. Let's move on to Brilliant Stars. Looks like to be across the board a touch easier pull rates. The Charizard, 1 out of 490. The some of the other alt arts and some of the other chase cards. The full art is a different rarity, so that's 450. I'm just trying to look at the alt arts here. What is this? The Palkia. Or the Arceus, excuse me, alt art 1 in 568. So these are both under 1 in 600 rates. I wonder if that is something that we can anecdotally pull. And again, this is a sample size of even more than the previous. This is 10,000 Brilliant Stars booster packs. These are the pull rates here. The Charizard has performed relatively weakly, in my opinion, or from what I've seen, being a Charizard alt art from an awesome set. So I wonder if Pokemon adjusted the pull rates for the Brilliant Stars set. Interesting to see. Obviously, we can't be like, yep, 1 in 568, smaller than 1 in 665. They changed the port. Like, these are small sample sizes, in the grand scheme of things, but it's just interesting to see these numbers out of thousands of packs, take some of the pricing information that we've got and kind of just look through it. I don't know. It's interesting to see. Moving down here to Fusion Strike, we've got the Chase card, the Gengar 1 in 1080 packs. So this is only a 4,000 pack Fusion Strike booster pack sample size. It's tough to tell what we can take from that. But in any event, the Celebi V1 in 617, the Espeon VMAX 1 in 1440. So it's tough because like I don't want to just like make these grand claims like Fusion Strike harder than Brilliant Stars, but I think we're just getting a general sense here, and then we'll be able to compare this with Scarlet and Violet to see across the board. So that's the last on this E4 post. I do have Evolving Skies pulled up over here. 5,000 Evolving Skies booster packs is the sample size on this. And this is, I didn't really scrub this data beforehand, but 1 in 283. That is just to get any alt art VMAX in general. I know that is, to get a specific alt art VMAX, like for example, if we go back to our, like this for the Gengar, like these are the odds. This 1 out of 1080 is a specific alt art VMAX in that Gengar. So this, I should have done more scrubbing on these numbers before I went and clicked on this booster pack, but I know anecdotally, I have heard estimates of the like the Moonbreon being like 1 in 1,000 packs. So very tough pull rates. Let's take a look. Let's jump right into Scarlet and Violet here. Before we do that, we'll take a look at the chat. Ailman True, I haven't actually read a pack. Earn Collects, how's it going, brother? Good to see you. He says, hope Papa Hood is treating you well. It is. It's been, my son is 5 weeks old today. Thanks for asking. You may be able to, if you listen clearly, I've been trying to talk without stopping because he is crying in the background here. His mom is trying to feed him his food, and he's doing a little crying in the background, but it's going well. He's getting more on a routine, not getting a ton of sleep in the household. He wakes up every 2 to 4 hours on the dot, like an alarm clock. So we're waking up in the middle of the night, but he's doing well. So thanks for asking. With rotation in April making Mew VMAX no longer playable, I'll be interested to see how that affects Fusion Strike booster box prices. Interesting thought. My gut reaction to that comment is that it will have no impact. If I had to guess, I guess not no impact isn't the correct way to phrase that, but I would say a minimal impact, if any, in terms of the popular Mew VMAX not being in rotation anymore. It'll probably have some, but in terms of like, let's say the Fusion Strike booster box is 120, I wouldn't think that it would be going to 110 or 100 and then just tanking 20% due to that factor. Maybe a dollar, a couple dollars if somebody's able to pull that data, which we're probably never going to know. But interesting thought how playability relates to price. Quilly says, I think there's an enormous missed opportunity with parents actually using the gambling side of Pokemon to teach kids about value, probabilities, etc., in a way that kids enjoy. Interesting. Good. I like that glass half full way to look at it. In terms of like, okay, sit your kid down and be like, hey, you've got $5. Are you sure you want to spend it on this Pokemon pack? Like you're probably not going to get your favorite Charizard card. It's a low probability. Would you rather save that $5 and save it for multiple weeks of your allowance and get a booster box down the road? Or would you rather, take that chance in knowing that, you're not going to get what you think you're going to get? That is a good way to teach your kid about probability and so on and so forth. So that's a good call out. I literally learned how to read because of Pokemon, he says. That's awesome. We're going to teach my son how to read because of Pokemon too. Charizard. Might be hard to say for a little kid, but that's how I think that is a good idea. So anyways, all right, let's jump into Scarlet and Violet pull rates. All right, another swig of coffee. All right, this is Scarlet and Violet base. The sample size is 8,000 booster packs, and we can see right off the bat here, based on what we were looking at in the previous slides or the previous pull rate charts from the Sword and Shield sets, that this is about half. So 1 in 300, 1 in 300, 1 in 300, about half. Again, the full disclaimers, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This is a small sample size, 8,000, 10,000. We can't, all that necessary crap. But I think that there is a little information to be, we can't just like throw it out and say, oops, not enough, need 1 million packs. Like, I feel like we can take a little bit of information out of these 8,000, 10,000 pack sample sizes. So Scarlet and Violet base, the special illustration rare chases about 1 in 300. Let's go to Paldea Evolved. This is based on 8,000 packs. We're in the 300 to 500-ish range, depending on the card. But you'll see here that not a single one is 1 out of 600, 1 700, 1 out of 1,000. Like some of the Sword and Shield sets were similar chases. Take that what you will. In terms of the pull rates getting easier, I don't want to cherry pick. I'm very sensitive to be like, look at me. I'm just cherry picking data. Like, I think that everybody who is listening to me kind of gets that I'm take this with a grain of salt, and don't go invest in, certain things based on this information. It's just interesting to look at. Let's move on to Obsidian Flames. Really rough here. 8,000 packs. These are easy pull rates. Based on this smaller sample size, 1 out of 200, 1 out of 160, 160. So this is, I guess we should take, some of these are like the EX. That's a different rarity tier. The full art EX. And so we've got a couple of special illustration rares, like for example, the Charizard. Excuse me. We've got 1 out of 216. So we'll take that as our number here. We're not going down into the hundreds. Easier pull rates. And then moving over to Paradox Rift. Let's see, what do we have here? So we've got 8,000 packs. A specific SIR, special illustration rare, is actually 1 out of 712. So I don't know if we can take that as we are moving back in the other direction of harder pull rates, or if it's just this specific sample size, this person, wherever they got their palette of, or their several cases, maybe they had disproportionate amount of harder to pull cards in their sample size there. But it is interesting to see that has ticked back up in Paradox Rift, back into a similar line with what we saw in Sword and Shield, that 1 to 600, 1 to 800, even 1,000 range here, that 1 in 712 here for the specific special illustration rare. So just thought those were interesting numbers to bring up. Clearly, based on the numbers that I just showed, it appears that pull rates are easier, just using actual data instead of just using anecdotal. Like, we all know that pull rates appear to be easier in Scarlet and Violet, but it's good just to see it backed up with numbers here. Be interesting to see what Pokemon does if they continue to adjust, if this Paradox Rift is the start of something, if it's just interesting. So I think that they should make it harder. We need that chase. We want to gamble. We're all gambling addicts, and we need harder pull rates. So that's my spiel on gambling. Hope everybody enjoyed that top. I'm interested to see what other people's thoughts are on gambling. Nothing groundbreaking here. Just thought that would be interesting. iFOMO, good to see it in here. So Obsidian Flames should do well long term. I think the opposite there. If we're taking the pull rates, it's easier to pull cards from Obsidian Flame than any other set that we've looked at. So that would mean that they would do worse in the long term. But who knows? The pull rates aren't the only factor. Obviously, we've got demand. Charizard, more popular. than what do we got here? More popular than one of the new Meow Scarith or whatever the final evolution of the new grass starter here. So obviously demand is taken into effect. Overall supply, so the pull rates are just not related to the overall supply. So there's lots of different factors there as well. All right. Pull rates could increase demand. See that's an interesting point, and I'm glad you clarified there. I've heard people mention this in the past that easier pull rates could increase demand because it feels better to open a pack where you're getting something more often than not. You're getting a hit. It's more rewarding, and one could argue that easier pull rates mean more demand in the long run, higher prices in the long run. I would tend to disagree with that and say that harder pull rates, even though it's counterintuitive, it's harder to pull. You're spending more money. You're throwing away more money. I would tend to say that increases the demand. That chase, having that really, that moonshot card, that really hard to get card, that chase card, that Moonbryon, that 1 in 1,000. Having that actually increases demand. But that's a good point. I'm glad you clarified there. I would be interested to see if people think the same as you. I would think the opposite, though, in my opinion. Bob Gill, good to see you in here. What is your biggest win? I think that I used to keep track of all of my purchases and every single thing that I paid for and what I paid for it. What I paid for it, when I bought it, blah, blah, blah. And I had this big chart, this big, wonderful chart. I no longer, maintain it. But when I did maintain it, my biggest overall win from a money perspective, I believe, was a special delivery Charizard. Those things were, I got lucky on some of the grades, graded a few 10s. Those I was buying those codes for, whatever they were, $5 to $8. Spending $20, $25 on Pokemon Center, including tax. And then grading it for 15 to 18 or whatever it was at the time, and then selling it for $250 to $300, and it did that multiple times. That was a nice little play. That was probably my biggest win in terms of a play. Quilly says gambler's fallacy wins every time. Yep, gambler's fallacy, I believe, is referring to harder to pull, harder odds, bigger chase, more demand. Even though it's counterintuitive. It seems to be the case. Bob Gill says every card puller is one big win away, right? Yep, exactly. You're just one away. The next one's gonna hit. It's the same idea as the guy, betting on horses. Next horse is gonna win. Next, my next bet's gonna win. Next one's gonna win. Yeah, it's actually, their gambling addiction is real, but it's always the next. All right, made it to the bottom of the chat, made it through my spiel through gambling, and now I'm just going to do a nice, relaxed little scroll through Z&G Emporium auctions here, see if there, and this is another topic and something that I'm interested in, and I haven't done myself. I've heard not a lot, but I've heard my friends, people, say that they've started buying slabs for resale, and I've not done that myself, so I don't believe, maybe once, I shouldn't say never. I don't buy already graded cards with the intent to flip them for more money down the road. And recently I've heard multiple people, Ponga was telling me that he does this. Dan mentioned it on PokeFlips today, although he has the eBay vault with zero selling fees that he's able to win things on auction and then immediately relist them and sell them for zero selling fees. So that's a play there. But I'm interested to kind of look through these slabs, see if anything just jumps out. I haven't been keeping up on the graded card values of things across the market. I'm more kind of buying and selling raw. So I probably, some of these prices might surprise me, but I thought it would be fun just to, after hearing that a lot of my friends and people that I respect are buying graded cards for the arbitrage flip, that I would take a look at it. I have not set up an eBay Vault account, but I probably will here in the future. iFomo says, I love the feedback. Popcorn emoji. Appreciate it. All right. Gambler's fallacy is when someone believes an outcome becomes more likely because of past outcomes despite independent probabilities. Yep. like you, for example, like you go to a casino, anybody who's played roulette in a casino, you've got the roulette table, and then above the roulette table, they've got a big screen that shows all the different past results, 32 black, 16 black, 23 black, 8 red, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Like the gambler's fallacy would see, okay, we've got 3 blacks in a row have hit. There must be a higher probability of red hitting on the next spin because so many blacks in a row have hit that we're more likely to get a red. That's obviously not the case. It's the same probability every single time, black versus red. But that people do it, and it's interesting what the psychology, the human psychology, how it plays in with thinking those types of things. If you get heads 10 in a row, think of the next one. Yep, exactly. Yeah, you're saying exactly what I was just explaining with the roulette example there. In Pokemon, with harder pull rates, you have people ripping up more packs because they think their failed attempts somehow make their next success more likely. Yeah, exactly. Like for example, if everybody's been in those, or most people have probably stopped by in those different whatnot streams and so forth. That so and so just pulled an alt art 2 packs ago. Like the box is heating up. But I'm sure that happens. But I've also seen the opposite, where people will be, if somebody is selling a cracking a booster box and auctioning off each individual pack. If the alt art gets pulled, if you're a smart person, that it is, these alt arts, although you can pull, I believe you can pull multiple alt arts in Sword and Shield in the same box or in the same case, but it is typically, in my opinion, or I guess I shouldn't speak on my ass. It's more it's more unlikely to pull another alt art if one has been pulled, if that makes sense. I know that different cases are seeded. Like for example, like people have done extensive deep dives on gold stars, and what is it, 2 to 3 per case. And there's, you're guaranteed in certain Japanese sets or certain sets, a special illustration rare SAR per box and 1 Master Ball per box, and Japanese 151 and so on and so forth. So it could be also the opposite as well. If you're a smart person, you'd bid less on the subsequent pack if you know that Master Ball just got pulled. Bob Gill, are trading cards used for money laundering? Possibly. One example would be somebody who may have obtained cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, in a unsavory or illegal manner, and then they want to get out of that to get rid of the paper trail and put it into physical assets. I'm sure that happens. People want to get out of something that is that's the case. I'm sure that happens, and then I'm sure that other, for not money laundering in the sense of your, hiding money that was ill-gotten, but like I'm sure that certain types of governments that have certain control over people's finances, those people might want to put things into physical assets that can't be digitally seized by the government as well. So that's another thought. The psychology of this hobby is absolutely fascinating. I agree. So the gambling isn't the only way to look at it. There's so many different lanes to look at, like how people react to different drama and different things. I completely agree. This is where we get our drama fix. We like drama too. All right, let's do a quick scroll. Let's see here. So I've sorted. So these are Z&G auctions, price sorted from price high to low, and let's take a look. All right, never seen this CGC label before, but I believe it is a signature. What do we got here? A shadow. Oh, this is a first Ed's shadowless Zard with a Arita sketch auto. Personally, I actually don't know what. So I guess I did. So the PSA four grand, PSA five grand. That was kind of the assumption that I've been under. Just the general pricing. I haven't been up on first Ed base Zards in what their price is going for, but I personally would value a signature Zard less than a non-signature Zard. I don't know if that's blasphemous, but I would not want a signature on this particular card. Now there are cards that I would want a signature on, like I'm a big Komiya collector. And I would pay more for a signature of his on a card because he first of all he doesn't sign a bunch, so that's one supply and demand factor. But I like him as an artist. This particular card, these higher end trophies, if I had a choice to buy a non-sig and a versus a sig, I would choose the non-sig for the same price all day, personally. Gengar, Fossil Gengar, PSA 10 holding strong. I wonder what this was at the top of the mountain. 3,500 is a strong price, but this is one of the most popular Pokemon, Gengar. A Pokemon that I've realized lately, did not realize how popular Gengar was. I mean, obviously know he's popular, but I've been flipping some different Gengar cards. Been flipping more raw lately, so I've been kind of up on the pricing and the demand and what sells, what doesn't sell, and just looking at different comps. Gengar is right up there. He is super popular. Gengar, awesome. So Japanese PSA 8 Rayquaza Gold Star for $2,500. That sounds like a lot of money. PSA 10 Kadabra from Legendary Collection. You know what? I have to hand up. I talked so much crap about Legendary Collection when I first got in the hobby. I thought it was like these Fireworks Hollows from the reverses from Legendary Collection. I thought they were garbage. I thought they looked terrible. Didn't understand it. Just what are people doing? Why are people buying these things? Complete 180 that I've done since I've been in the hobby over the 3 years that I've been here, and now I think they're awesome. So hand up on that one. Totally wrong and completely changed my opinion. Got some of those in hand in a recent collection for the first time, and they just look freaking awesome. So complete 180 for myself on that. We've got a Pokemon base set Japanese short crimp. So this is probably, if I had to guess, a James owned item that he's selling on his own auction block here. Possibly not, but I know that he did a big short crimp. He bought a booster box that had short crimp inside of them, and I'm not completely caught up on the lore on those, but I think that the case with short crimp is that there is a chance that those have no rarity cards in them. If I'm not mistaken, and I don't believe his particular ones had no rarity cards in them. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong with the history behind that on the short crimp Japanese base set. But in any event, this is the first pack. This is an awesome pack. PSA 7, who knows what pack grading is, but that is a cool item there. Charizard EX. I've seen this card a lot, but I have no idea what section, what set it is from. It looks like XY promo. Cool card nonetheless. Giovanni's Gyarados. I like it better than Misty's Gyarados, which I just sold a copy of Misty's Gyarados, a beat up, bent in half copy, and I think I sold it for $30, which is insane to me. Unlimited Misty's Gyarados. We've got a waifu site seer from Tag Team GX All Stars. That is a lot of money. All right, legendary reverse. I'm not in the market to buy anything in this kind of realm here, but it's fun always to kind of take a look and see what prices are doing here. PSA 8 Crystal Nidoking, not big. This is something else that I've done kind of not a 180, but I used to think that PSA 8s were kind of something that you would be desirable in the future based on their relation to the price of the PSA 9s and the PSA 10s. Do not think that is the case anymore. Not a PSA 8 guy. If I were to buy something to invest or collect, it'd be the 9s for myself, but invest long term, the high end 10s would be the way that I'd go. Let's take a look at chat. First to market is always the way to go. iFOMO, Pikachu. Awesome to see it in there. Finally caught you during live again. How are things? Miss you, man. So miss you too. Thanks for stopping by. Things are going well. Got my son turned 5 weeks old today. That's been my whole life. The last 5 weeks, just trying to get him on a sleep schedule, get him on an eating schedule, learning how to be a parent. He's my first child. It's going well. But it's been a whirlwind and a lot of waking up at 4 a.m. to do feeding and stuff like that. So, I am feeling better than I did last week and the week before. It's getting easier and easier more. He's getting stronger, bigger, sleeping a little bit longer, and I'm getting more used to being a parent. So, but thanks for asking. I appreciate that. Good. We are having a good Friday. Whatever you do, Mertz. iFOMO says don't look up One Piece. I'm not a One Piece guy personally. I don't know. I haven't watched anime. I'm not against anime. I've been kind of having the itch just to see what it's about. I know that my friend Rock Pokemon gave me a big selling pitch on anime when we were in Denver Collecticon and told me all about it and the things that I should watch. And I have nothing against anime, I'm not one of those people who talk down on it, but I just have not jumped in. I think Attack on Titan, if I had to pick one to start with, is kind of one that I'm leaning towards, and I just think the art looks cool. And some of the things that I've seen anecdotally, I've heard good things about it as well. That might be the first one that I jump into. Let's see here. The Japanese XY Charizard promo is Awilman's All Man. Is it All Man? I can't tell if there's an I in there. It's his Grail. I've always skipped over it a lot. Just haven't really looked at it a ton. iFOMO says, congrats, but I appreciate that. Z&G, I sold like 60 slabs. Oh, I see. You're selling One Piece slabs yourself. No spoilers on those. No promises that I won't scroll through them here. Just don't look at your screen. We got the Shining Gyarados PSA 8. That is a decent price for one of the all-time arts, but it is unlimited. It is PSA 8. That's still a lot of money. We got some Yu-Gi-Oh. Let's see here. Okay, we're scrolling. I love this Gengar. Love Gengars in general. What do we got? This auto. This is just authentic. What is this? Let's take a look at this. Why was this graded authentic? Does it have a big? It's an autograph. Okay, so it's not just a random authentic grade. So it's a auto with terrible silver pen that you can hardly see. Let's zoom in on this and see what we got going on here. This, unfortunately, sorry if the owner of this card is in the chat, but I think that is a very poor choice of pen color. So maybe you saw Arita and you weren't expecting to see him, and that's the only pen that you had. But I unfortunately think that was a bad choice. I couldn't even tell it was signed until I clicked on it. So awesome card though. As you can tell by what I said earlier and what I'm saying now, I guess I'm just not a big SIG guy. Anyways, moving on. We've got the old base set unlimited Blastoise. There's probably thousands and thousands of these in the world. We got the PSA 9 copy holding strong here. Here's another. Here, see, let's compare it. This looks much better. I wonder if this is the same person that subbed it. I'm trying to look at the date. I don't see it there, but this looks a lot better. So sorry to the person that has the silver penned Gengar there. Maybe you have this one as well. All right, we've got graded packs. Don't understand a ton graded packs. It's tough. Like you would like graded packs because it would authenticate them and you would feel better. But we all know that the people BBC E, or is it BBC? Yeah, it's definitely not BBC. Just roast me in the chat for saying that. BBC E, Baseball Card Exchange. They misauthenticated the case of First Ed, the fake case of First Ed base boxes from Logan Paul, and they're the same ones that authenticate these booster packs or grade them. So there's not a whole lot of credibility they do that for PSA. There's not a whole lot of credibility there, in my opinion, on that, unfortunately. Got a Blaine's Charizard gem. A lot of these Japanese holos are super duper cheap. What is this? A PSA 10. That's a PSA 10. Blaine's Charizard. The same in English would probably be quite a bit of money, over $1,000 at this point. Obviously, the auctions aren't over, but that is a low price for that Blaine's Charizard there in particular. I've always loved this Pichu. Something about this, just this hollow pattern is just super nostalgic. The yellow, red, and blue, the Neo Genesis Pichu is one of my favorite cards. Super awesome card. Is this that? Here's a square cut Venusaur. Let's take a look at this. This is weird. I wonder if this was cut from, like, self-cut by somebody. Is that, it's not an error if it was, cut from a sheet. Not sure how I feel about cutting things from a sheet. I feel like it's the best way to make money if you're trying to maximize the money, but kind of, taking them out of that, original sheet is not something I do. All things being equal, if I didn't need money, I probably would keep that sheet intact. Kingdra, Crystal Kingdra. I love this light RK9. I'm a sucker for rainbow hollow patterns. Awesome looking card there. Dragonite V. hot take, but this is not a great alt art. It's super meh and super in my opinion. Not the greatest alt art. It's just not doing it for me. Not don't love that alt art. Misty's Tentacruel, not my favorite Tentacruel, but I do like Tentacruel. Actually, it's like one of the only Pokemon items that I've got within reaching distance here. Tentacruel, Sitting Cutie. I am a Tentacruel fan, not a Misty's Tentacruel fan, but that is a WotC First Ed Pristine 10 CGC old label. Let's take a look at this. Let's see what the cert is, because I know when the grading standards got a little bit harder was the late 3s, early 4s. Let's see if is this really super pristine. Let's take a look at this. The top looks awesome. Everything looks really good so far. This where I've got my mouse over here looks like kind of like a hair that's either inside the slab or whatever, but maybe a touch of whitening on the bottom left corner there, although that could just be the light reflecting. This looks super clean. Centering on the back looks awesome. Top to bottom looks good. Centering on the front looks awesome. This is a super duper clean card. Obviously wouldn't make sense to crack and go black label hunting, but that is, and you don't see that every day. WotC Hollow First Ed and the old CGC labels. Scrolling down here, got some random packs. Special delivery, Bidoof. What do we got here? We're kind of I love this Umbreon. Like it better, almost better than the Moonbreon. This art is awesome. Umbreon is like the leader of the night. Got Pinsir and what is that, Heracross, and just kind of the other evil Pokemon, just kind of gathering them up, giving them a speech like, let's go terrorize the town. That is an awesome card. Not going to spend too much time going through more. iPhone says no worries. Thoughts on Akita Toriyama passing? I saw that, and I do not know who that gentleman is. RIP nonetheless. I know he was involved in anime, and I don't know if it was Pokemon. Anime in particular. Somebody let me know in the chat who that particular gentleman is, but I know that he passed and people seem to be upset about it, so he probably had a big effect on a certain hobby. So RIP nonetheless, even though I'm not sure who it is. Creator of Dragon Ball Z. Oof, that is sad. That so many Dragon Ball Z fans. I know that Peak is a big Dragon Ball Z fan, and a lot of my friends and people that I know are big Dragon Ball Z fans, and that is sad. That is sad. I wonder how old he was. Sad. One of the that is something that I'd like to get into as well, and kind of and watch. I just never got into it. I was the correct age, but for some reason, maybe like a year or two too young to get to like in that real heat of the popularity. But I just never got into watching Dragon Ball. That is sad. PokeChef says, has your son chose his starter yet? He's going to be weeks old. He is, his dad is a grass guy. I remember choosing grass a lot as a kid because like I just wanted to go against the grain, and I just thought grass was the least popular, and I just picked grass because I wanted to be contrarian, and whatever the least popular, like that's what I wanted to do. So I was a grass guy. Bulbasaur, Chikorita. And he's gonna have to do the same. iFomo says that Akita Toriyama passed at 68. That is pretty young. RIP. That is super sad. Japan, I believe, has the longest average age as well, 68. That's sad. He contributed a lot. Like the created a big successful IP that a lot of people have special connections to. Awesome for him. Big time. We had it on our specials board today. I'm assuming at the restaurant, and he heard grass type, so that is sad. Let's just scroll down a little bit. Oof, this feels bad. Look at this black label. I mean, come on. I feel like I've seen this a lot with Beckett slabs, and just like that looks so bad. This looks terrible. So if this was a desirable card, you would think about bidding on this because it might go low because people think that is just like an end all be all. Like the label's always going to be crooked. But if this, like, for example, if this was a desirable card, you could, get it at a discount because people won't want the crooked label. You could tap it on the desk, get it straightened out, or send it back in for a reslab and then resell it and do a little arbitrage there. But it's just a completely random, although awesome. I really like that Deoxys art from V-Star Universe, but just I don't want that card. It's just a completely random card. It feels bad though. All right, let's see what else we've got here. We're getting to the end. We're gonna wrap up. We're gonna go through. Here it is. PSA 9 still holding at 102 on that Lugia alt art. We're gonna go through the end of this page, and then we're gonna sign off after that. Got to go help out with the wife. Son's not crying anymore, but I have heard him crying a little bit. He's started to cry a little bit extra during feeding time recently, and I'm not super sure why. So that's tough. All right, this Typhlosion is horrible. This is awful. What are we doing here? This looks so bad, in my opinion. He's got this teeny tiny head. I don't know if it's like the way that you're like the perspective of the viewer, but he looks like a little ferret with a wig on, and this is an awful Typhlosion art. Sorry if people like this art. It is terrible. What do we got here? Dark Magneton. I think the PSA 10 is like super insanely expensive on this Dark Magneton from Team Rocket. It's super hard to grade because of all the holofoil. I know that I'm sure it sells for thousands of dollars because all of this holofoil leaves room for scratches and print lines. So maybe a play would be to buy a super clean copy of a PSA 9 for $100 and try to regrade it into PSA 10, but it's hard. You can't see the print lines here. Let's just take a look and see how clean this is. This is actually super duper clean. The top left, we've got a little white dot. Centering left to right is a little bit touch off, still obviously within 60/40 left to right. Top to bottom, a touch off, still within 60/40. I wouldn't make that play, but here, there's two of them. Let's see what this other PSA 9. See if this is cleaner. Let's look at the back. Okay, this looks good. Little tiny nick in the top right. Like that is still okay. So super clean on the back. Let's look at the centering on the back, even though it doesn't matter as much as the front. Centering on the back looks awesome. Centering on the front looks good. A little touch more on the right side, but good centering top to bottom. This in my opinion is a cleaner copy than the previous one that we looked at. Again, like this white dot here, there are so many PSA 10s with that white dot. So many. I don't know. So somebody make that play and tell me how it goes. Buy this for $100, regrade it, get the 10, sell it for $3,000. Not worth it in my opinion. Got a couple scratches. Yeah, definitely not worth it. Now that I'm seeing the scratches on the holofoil, I don't know if that's a hair, but it looks like a scratch to me right where my mouse is. So those are just interesting arbitrage or different type of regrade plays. I know that the Dark Magneton is expensive. Pokechef says, Mertz, are you a fan of subgrades on slabs? I don't really super care one way or another. I've done one sub with BGS and I requested no subs. Did it with James, Z&G Emporium. He requested no subs from Beckett, and they gave him subs anyways. So I got subs for free on that one. But I requested him no subs because I just didn't care. Like I know that they give black labels subs regardless, even though it's kind of stupid. Like obviously if it's a black label, the subs are guaranteed 10 10 10 10. So like it'd make more sense if they did guaranteed subs on pristines and black labels, so you can see what the pristine sub is. Actually, you know what? Do they do automatic subgrades on pristines? Somebody let me know in the chat. But I don't really care one way or another. Pretty indifferent. Predatory Hug, not sure what that is in reference to from iPhone. Dark Magneton. Pokechef has a Dark Magneton at PSA shooting my shot on it. Did you do something similar where you bought a 9 and are trying to regrade it, or did you just find a super minty raw one that you're going for the moonshot, trying to get that 10? Be interested to know there. Oh, that he's referring to the Typhlosion with the Predatory Hug. It is such a bad card. That is awful. Every time I see it, it's just like gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's like a gross ferret. These gold cards from Crown Zenith have gone down a ton. What is this? Is this Topps Yu-Gi-Oh? It's kind of just weird. This is a little weird waifu cleavage weirdness. I don't know. I'm not a big super duper waifu guy. Let's see here. What is this? 2023. What is this? what is this the promo that everybody gets in that you get the pack with all the different languages? There's no way that this is only $83, $86. Maybe this is a different Worlds promo. If Peak's still in here, could let me know what that is. All right, we got some more waifu, Cynthia and Caitlyn, whatever. More waifus, a lot of waifus. Super heavy waifu situation here. We've got a Secret Wonders Charizard PSA 9 for $77. That seems really cheap. I know I sold a raw damaged or heavy player or damaged Secret Wonders Charizard recently for like $20. So if a mint copy goes for $77, that in my plus $5 shipping, $82, those numbers don't make sense. Let's see if this is a cross candidate. Centering on the back, top to bottom is bad. It's got a big white chunk on the bottom right. Not going to cross that to a 10. But that just seems super cheap. That's the first thing that in this list that's jumped out as me as cheap. What do we got here? A weird poker card that I unfortunately could not care less about. More waifus. Shadowless Nidoking. This is still $70. This gold Pikachu from the Ultra Premium Collection in PSA 10. That is kind of funky. I wonder if they're hard to grade. I did not. I opened one UPC and I sold it raw, so I never tried to grade it myself. And then we are nearing the bottom of the list here where we're going to shut it down. But we're not seeing anything. What do we got here? Nearing the end. Okay. We made it to the end here. Awesome stream. I literally have no idea how long I've been streaming for. I'm going to look to the side and see if I can figure out how long I've been streaming for on the I can't even see on the on the streaming platform. Have no idea how long I've been going for. It time flies when you're doing this. Idea how long I've been always have a ton of fun. Had a great time talking to you guys. That was 71 minutes, so an hour and 11 minutes. Time flies. I'm glad everybody could join me this evening talking Pokemon, talking gambling, looking at some auction prices, just hanging out. It was a blast. We're going to wrap it up there so I can go help out my wife with my son and get some rest tonight. But really fun stream. Thanks for watching. Everybody like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and I will catch you in the next one. All right, good night.